Welcome one and all to Top Books. In today's video, we'll be running down the top 10 books on all things gaming. If you're new to the channel, please smash the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on those notifications. Right, time for the top books on video games. At number 10, we have Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier. Kicking off our list, we have Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier. According to Forbes, the only complaint about this book is that there isn't any more of it. Schreier's masterpiece was published on September 5th in 2017. Schreier, who famously wrote for the video game news website Kotaku, spent 2 years traveling around the world for research. He interviewed with some of the most renowned gaming studios and developers in order to gain a unique behind-the-scenes look into the grueling world of video game development. His focus is on the human cost that it takes to develop a successful game, and the toll it takes on a person to work a near 24/7 job. The book features must-read stories from famous titles such as Blizzard's Diablo 3, The Witcher 3, Naughty Dog's Uncharted 4, and more. At number 9 is The History of the Future by Blake J. Harris. Next up is Blake J. Harris's 2019 The History of the Future, which is a one-of-a-kind deep journey into tech drama, and tells the incredible story of Oculus. If you don't know what Oculus is, it's a virtual reality company that was founded in 2012 and was mind-blowingly picked up by Mark Zuckerberg for over $2 million. To create this front-row insider book, Harris spent over 4 years researching and interviewing Palmer Luckey, who founded Oculus when he was 19 years old, in a trailer. If you're not hooked by this inspirational story, then you'll be pulled by the insider look into the billion-dollar industry and the behind-the-scenes game wars that unfolds. At number 8 is Masters of Doom by David Kushner. Regarded as one of the best video game history books is Masters of Doom, how two guys created an empire and transformed pop culture. Have you ever wanted to be a millionaire game developer? Then Masters of Doom is the book for you. It's a 2003 masterpiece by David Kushner that looks into the origin stories of some of the most famous first-person shooter games in history, as well as focusing on the history of the genius creators John Carmack and John Romero, who are regarded as the Lennon and McCartney of video games. Masters of Doom is an inspirational tale of the work it takes to build games such as Doom and Quake, and how Carmack and Romero completely transformed pop culture. The Washington Post, The New York Times, USA Today, Emergence, and more all hailed Master of Doom as a fascinating and addictive read. At 7, another book by David Kushner, Jacked, the outlaw story of Grand Theft Auto. Gamers and non-gamers alike have stumbled upon Grand Theft Auto at some point in their lives. David Kushner's 2012 book, Jacked, the outlaw story of Grand Theft Auto, provides an insightful and raw look into the making of one of the most popular, and consequently one of the most controversial, video game franchises in history since its release in 1997. If you're a fan of all the crime, gore, and violence that only GTA can provide, you'll love the history and real-life grit that it took to kick this game off the ground. From the very origins of GTA to the various controversies surrounding it, like the infamous hot coffee incident, Jacked tells it all. To find out more about the inner turmoil of the series and how it recruited Hollywood's elite voices and transformed pop culture, Kushner's tale is a must-read. And number 6 is Stay a While and Listen by David L. Craddock. After years of painstaking research, hundreds of interviews, and perfecting a thrilling writing style, David L. Craddock graced all gamers with his 2013 book, Stay a While and Listen. The book follows the story of the gamers behind the making of the addictive action role-playing game Diablo. Stay a While and Listen details the origin of the studio Blizzard North and its ambitious developers. The best thing about this book is that it flows like a documentary. It's been described by Randy Pitchford, co-founder of Gearbox Software, as a rare and intriguing look into the people and experience behind some of people's favorite video games of all time. And the likes of Richard Garriott and Tristan Donovan, authors of similar books, swear by the book up and down. Rolling in at number 5 is Console Wars by Blake J. Harris. By 1990, Nintendo had a monopoly on the video game industry, but one scrappy competitor stood in its way: Sega. Console Wars, Sega, Nintendo, and the Battle That Defined a Generation was written by Blake J. Harris and published in 2014. It details the unforgivingly competitive war between Nintendo and Sega. It follows Sega of America's CEO, the enigmatic Tom Kalinske, and how he rose up to challenge Nintendo. Console Wars is masterfully written in such a thrilling way it feels like you're reading a novel with mesmerizing characters, inner rivalries, and conflict. This thrilling page-turner has been named the best book of the year by all of Goodreads, NPR, Slate, Publishers Weekly, and Forbes. Jumping into number 4, we have The Ultimate History of Video Games by Stephen L. Kent. Everything you wanted to know about video games and the magic behind them is packed into 608 pages written by Steve Kent and published in 2001. The Ultimate History of Video Games, from Pong to Pokemon, the story behind the craze that touched our lives and changed the world, through exclusive interviews with countless big names in the gaming industry and a lot of research. It tells the story of how video games grew to transform the world we live in. You also get never-seen-before interviews of how iconic games like Pac-Man and Space Invaders came to be and defined arcade gaming, as well as the rise and fall of Sega. How Space Invaders caused a coin shortage is a must-read for the gaming obsessives. In at number 3 is Game Over, How Nintendo Conquered the World by David Sheff. Ever wondered how Nintendo dominated the video game market? Game Over, How Nintendo Conquered the World, written by David Sheff and published in 1993, describes how Nintendo became the most successful high-tech company in the world. If you're a fan of Nintendo, this is a must-read. The effort Sheff put into making Game Over is astronomical, and resulted in a gripping story full of facts and details. Spoiler alert. There are even 2 chapters dedicated to how Nintendo acquired the right to Tetris, and you'll be surprised at how entertaining those chapters are. Game Over takes you from the very humble start of Nintendo as a playing card company to how it became a billion-dollar success. Making its way to the number 2 spot is Power Up, How Japanese Video Games Gave the World an Extra Life by Chris Kohler. Rather than focus on the history of video games, Chris Kohler's Power Up, How Japanese Video Games Gave the World an Extra Life focuses on the influence Japanese gaming has had on the world. It also explains why Japanese video games are so unique, and young American players in particular are so attracted to them. Published on September 14, 2004, this quirky and entertaining book features anecdotes, interviews, and insights from the successful Goliaths of the gaming industry, including accounts from Hideo Kojima, Shigeru, and more, who created iconic games like Mario, Pokemon, and Donkey Kong. This book received a lot of praise, even from the author of one of the books on our list, Steve Kent, from The Ultimate History of Video Games, who described it as direct and insightful. Wired rightfully said that Chris Kohler brings the passionate intensity of a hardcore fan to his writing, which is why this book is so perfect for gamers. It's by a gamer for gamers. And at number 1, Replay, The History of Video Games by Tristan Donovan. As said by Eugene Jarvis, the creator of Defender Narc and Smash TV, if you read only one history of video games, Replay is it. Our number 1 pick of the top video game books is Replay, The History of Video Games by Tristan Donovan. This book has it all. A broad history, thrilling commentary from the genius creators of Final Fantasy, is just the ultimate historical video game book that's backed by exhaustive research and nearly 140 exclusive interviews. This 2010 book tells the thrilling story of how the game developers were able to create and promote such beautiful and deep games. It strikes the perfect balance between art and commerce, and as aptly said by Edge Essential Reading, Replay is the most comprehensive history of video games so far, a top book. That brings an end to the top books to read on video games. If you got value from the video, please give it a like and share with someone that loves gaming. Are there some gaming books we missed that should have made the list? Drop the titles in the comments below. See the links to each of the books in our list in the description below. Don't forget to check out our channel for some more top books.